It's not too hot out here, right? You know, it's not bad. I heard it was going to be terrible. I heard it was going to be so hot. Did you see we put out a notice saying don't come? So only 20,000 people showed up. There's never been anything like this, but it's great to be back in the beautiful state. You know the state. We love it. And you always have to say it correctly. Nevada. You got to call it Nevada. With thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots, and that's what you are. With your help, we're going to win Nevada. We're going to defeat your Biden-loving radical left Senator Jackie Rosen, who's terrible. By the way, she's a terrible senator. We're going to knock off the Biden crime family as a Biden family of crime, including the fact that they've weaponized the Department of Justice like has never happened in this country. We're going to end the weak and failed regime of crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country, and we're going to make America great again. For 3.5 years, the people of Nevada have had a front row seat to Joe Biden's evil and criminal obliteration of our southern border. It was criminal what he's done. Did you see the other day he came out with a little plan? Oh, let's make it a little bit tougher because he's getting killed in the poll. We're leading here by like 12 points, you know that. All we have to do is stop the steal, and we have it made. Just stop the steal. We can't let that happen again. Last week, Crooked Joe signed an executive order that is pro-invasion, pro-child trafficking, pro-woman trafficking, pro-human trafficking, and pro-drug dealers. It's a pro-drug dealer bill. It's weak. It's ineffective. It's bullshit what he signed. That's turning out to be like a deplorable. Remember deplorable when Hillary said deplorable? She said deplorable, and that was not good. That was not a good word to use. This word seems to be catching on a little bit, but in a much more positive way than deplorable. That was not good. She actually said deplorable and irredeemable. Do you remember? And I heard it. And I said, wow, that irredeemable's really a bad word, and it didn't catch on. What caught on was deplorable. So what the hell do I know about politics, right? Millions of people will continue pouring in, and they're coming right through the border like they have never come through before. What he signed means nothing. In fact, it makes it easier. In my opinion, it opens the border still further. We have people coming into our country. We're going to end up making, and I say this and I say it all the time, November 5th will be the most important day in the history of our country. If Joe Biden truly wanted to sign an executive order to stop the invasion, right now all he needs to do is say, I hereby immediately reinstate every single border policy of a gentleman named Donald J. Trump. You know, he doesn't need anything. He could have done this. He's a little late, by the way. Number one, he's late. Number two, it's meaningless what he signed. It's just a PR ploy, as usual. It's disinformation, misinformation, talk. They talk as our country goes down the tubes. Less than 4 years ago, I handed Crooked Joe the strongest, most secure border in the history of our country. We never had a border like that. We built 571 miles of border wall. It was unbelievable. We ended all catch and release. We had the remain in Mexico, safe third country, and then we had also Title 42. You remember, everything was so good. If this guy just, he goes to the beach all the time, somebody thinks he looks good in a bathing suit. I don't think so. And he has that little chair that weighs about like 7 ounces. It's meant so children can lift it and very old people can lift it. And you know what? He's not old. He's incompetent. He's not old. He's not old. I know people that are 88, 89, 92. A man named Bernie Marcus, founder of Home Depot. Bernie Marcus is 95, I think. And he's 100, you talk to him, he's 100% sharp. This guy, there's just something missing. And there always has been, by the way. He always had the worst and dumbest foreign policy. There always has been. Under the Trump administration, if you crossed our border illegally, we caught you and we brought you back. We took you back from where you came. It was very simple. We had the greatest, think of it. All he had to do is leave my people in place, leave everybody in place, and he wouldn't be going through this right now. I think it's one of his many big problems. I think the Afghan situation was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country, actually. He has a lot of bad days. I could name them, but we don't have enough time. We only have a few hours. We don't have enough time. And now, by the way, it's 110, but it doesn't feel it to me, right? So we'll stay out here for a little while. If anybody gets tired, you'll let me know. And if anybody goes down, if you start going down, we have people, they'll pick you up right away. They'll throw water. You know, they were so worried. Everybody was so worried yesterday about you. And they never mentioned me. I'm up here sweating like a dog. Secret Service said, we have to make sure everyone's safe. I said, what about me? Oh, we never thought of that. They don't think about me. I'm working my ass off. I'm working hard. This is hard work. Front row Joe. Front row Joe. Under Biden, the invasion is just a disaster what's happened. It's never happened like this. In less than 4 years, Crooked Joe has imported more illegal aliens into our country than at any other time in the history of our country, times maybe 50. There's never been anything like this happening to our country. They're changing the fabric of our country. They're destroying our country. They're doing things that are unthinkable. This open border, so many bad things, but this open border situation where you're allowing millions and millions of people to flood our country, we can't handle it. No country could handle it. It's not sustainable. The entire world is emptying their prisons and jails, insane asylums and mental institutions. They're emptying them out into your state, but they're emptying out into all 50 states. They're coming in, and there's no such thing as a border state anymore. That border is so meaningless. They just walk right through. They go right through the so-called border states, and they end up in Iowa. They end up in Idaho. Remember when Joe said it's great to be in Idaho, and he was in Iowa? He always does that. If I ever did that, it would be over. They'd say that's the end of his political career. He's cognitively impaired. No. You know, I had a second test. I aced it. I aced both of them. Not easy to ace. Biden should have a cognitive test, number one. They say it's unconstitutional. That's a good excuse. He should have a cognitive test, and before the debate in 2 weeks, he should take a drug test, because I'm willing to take one. So Nevada's being turned into a dumping ground, and you are. The whole country is being turned into an absolute dumping ground for what's happening. In Venezuela, here's a statistic that's a terrible statistic. So countries are dumping all of their criminals into our country, right? And also some people that are not criminals but are not productive. They're not going to be productive. They're not exactly going to make America great again. And they're coming in here in huge waves in the caravans, a name I think I came up with. I came up with a lot of good names, like Crooked Joe. Used to be Crooked Hillary. I took it off. Now we call her Beautiful Hillary, because we don't care anymore about that. We call it, because what was better, Crooked Joe or Sleepy Joe? Well, okay, let's have a poll. I'll change it. He's both. He's both. He's crooked. Okay, wait. We'll do a poll. We'll go Sleepy first, and then we'll go crooked. Which is a better name for Joe Biden? Sleepy Joe or Crooked Joe? So in Venezuela, they took all of their criminals, a very heavily crime-ridden country. They took all of their criminals and they dumped them into a place called the United States of America. They're down to about 40% left, and they're all coming. I can't believe it took them so long. If I were the heads of one of the many, and this is happening all over the world, if I were the heads of one of the countries, I would have been totally 100% by now. Their crime rate they just announced is down 72%. So their crime. So next year what we'll do is we'll meet in Venezuela because it's going to be a lot safer. Unless one thing happens, unless you make me president, in which case we'll be very safe. So last year, it's terrible. You know, this is as far as the, look at all the fake news back there. Look at all the fake news. They are fake. They are fake. Did you see Biden yesterday in Normandy, and he was in France? He embarrassed us so badly, right? Does everyone know that? He embarrassed us so badly, it was terrible. It's just terrible. This is not a representative for what used to be the greatest country. This country is really, we are a nation in major decline, and we're going to stop it immediately. Last year, a father from Pasadena, Texas, came home from work to find that his 11-year-old daughter was strangled to death. She had been sexually assaulted, and her body had been stuffed into a trash bag, thrown in a hamper. He came home to find this, put under the bed, found his daughter. They were looking for his daughter. Everyone was looking. She was dead under a bed, cut up. Charged with the murder was an illegal alien monster who had just infiltrated our border, released by crooked Joe Biden. Came in through the Biden administration. You know, it was very hard to get in through the Trump administration. I mean, you're never going to have it perfect, but we had it about as close as you're going to get. We had it. We had the best border in the history of our country. We had the least drugs coming in over 34 years. And now the drugs are pouring into our country. But they let this monster loose to prey on innocent children. He'll probably have a lawyer. He'll get out. Other people don't get out. They indict guys like Trump for what? The election was rigged. The election was a rigged election. Oh, let's indict him for saying that. Whereas you got guys like this. You got guys that kill people, and they're fine. They're just fine. Now, we're screwed up as a country, and we're going to unscrew it very quickly. It's going to take place very quickly. And then you had the horrific case of Laken Riley. I got to know the parents well, the family well. The young nursing student, top of her class. She was from Georgia, and she was savagely beaten, horribly beaten, killed. And Joe set loose this monster into our country, wouldn't have come into the country under us. And then on top of everything else, when I met the family, they were so beautiful, so incredible. And Joe Biden couldn't pronounce her name. He talked about her in Congress, and he was only forced to talk about her, but he apologized to her killer for calling him illegal. He called him an illegal alien, and everybody got angry at him, so he started apologizing, not to the family of Laken Riley, but he apologized to the killer because he called him a killer. This is where we are. Under the Trump administration, we will not be apologizing for all of these people that are coming in illegally, because there won't be many people that come in illegally anymore. They'll come in, but they'll come in legally. You'll be able to hire them, and you'll be able to work with them. But we want people to come into our country. They have to come in legally, okay? So with his border nightmare, Joe Biden is also waging an all-out war on the workers of America, especially African Americans and Hispanic Americans and African Americans are the ones suffering most with this incredible illegal alien group that's coming in and staying at our luxury hotels. And you know, they're being put up in hotels. Some of them are luxury hotels. And by the way, just in case you're wondering, I got no teleprompters, and I haven't from the beginning. These people. That probably means we'll make a better speech. No, I got no teleprompter. You know, I pay all this money to teleprompter people, and I'd say 20% of the time they don't work. They don't work. The thing's waving around. They can't tie it a little bit tighter. I'm trying to look at... So we're all in this together, everybody. We're all in this together. Just a mess. I had one in Ohio where it was, we had 45-mile-an-hour winds. You were there. This is a front row Joe. He's at everyone. This guy, wouldn't it be incredible? He's gone to 250 if he voted for Biden. He's going to vote for Biden. I don't think so. I think it would be suicide before Biden, right? And then we have the wall. Like we call him the human wall. He's been here so much. And these are great Americans, you know. They're great Americans. But we had one in Ohio where that teleprompter was like the sail on a sailing boat. We had 50-mile-an-hour winds, almost 50. And Bernie Moreno, I had to go up and do it for Bernie. And before I started my speech, as I was walking off, as I'm coming down the runway, walking off the runway onto the stage, the teleprompters got blown to pieces. We had 60,000 people. And I was standing up there all by myself. And I said, we got a problem. I got no teleprompter. I got no notes. And we had one of the greatest days, don't you think? You think Biden could do that? I don't think so. And by the way, and Bernie won his primary, and he won it convincingly. So we obviously did a good job, but it was good. And now I think he's going to beat a man named Brown, a senator named Brown. You have a good man named Brown right here, you know. Very good. They have a man that's not so good. They have a man that's not so good. And I think Bernie Moreno in Ohio is going to win, but it's the same thing. So these things are virtually useless. But I'll refer to them every once in a while for notes. It is crazy. The illegal immigrants are turning, and they're turning at a level that nobody's ever seen before. They're fighting our families. They're totally destroying our black population. They're totally destroying our Hispanic population. And you know what else they're destroying? And for you it means a little bit less, but it means quite a bit in this state. They're killing unions. They're killing unions because the unions are not able to survive. They're not able to survive this onslaught. It's making them impossible. They've worked hard. They've worked long to get their salaries up a little bit. They're not able to do it. Virtually 100% of the new jobs under Biden have also gone to illegal aliens. Did you know that? 100%. And you know, these people are so bad. They will correct me when I say 100%. 100% of the new jobs have gone to illegal aliens. Can you believe it? And that's where we are. Meanwhile, real wages of African Americans and the workers from all over the world that came here legally, they're down 6% under Crooked Joe. And, you know, I had an idea because it's not as bad as I thought. I thought I'd be wilting up here. The only thing that pisses me off are the teleprompters. It's so much easier. The only one that can't read a teleprompter is Joe Biden. It doesn't help him. But I thought what I'd do is I'd read, if you want. Should I do it? Should I do it? Because it's about the border. You know, in 2016, we had a great campaign, and it was mostly about the border. Marjorie would tell you, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's here someplace. It was about the border. Where the hell is Marjorie? Right? It was about the border. Great. She's not from this particular section, but they love her in this section too. But it was about the border, and I did such a good job that in 2020, where we got millions of more votes than we did in 2016, but I couldn't talk about the border. But now, if you look at it, what's happened is unbelievable. What's happened with respect to the border, this border is 20 times worse. 2016 was terrible, but this is a different league. This is a different level. This is the worst border in the history of the world. There's never been, no third world country has a border like that. And no third, I'll tell you what, no third world country has weaponization where they go after political candidates like we have either. This guy can't get elected anything without cheating. The only way he can get elected is to cheat. And the way they're using it this time, because it's harder to go without the COVID. They use COVID to cheat and lots of other things. But this time they're using weaponization of Department of Justice, go in to see the local DAs, go in to see the attorney generals to cheat. But the border is a big deal, and this is somehow caught on. So everybody wants to hear the snake. Okay. Can you hear me in the back? You know, I wish the cameras would focus on the people here. They never show it. They never take, even the sort of friendly ones, you know, I say semi-friendly. You know, the friendly ones, I do a great show with Sean Hannity or Jesse or Janine or Laura or somebody, and we do a great show, or a lot of great people. And then they put on commercials that are just horrible, and they're false. I say, what the hell are you putting commercials on like that? I do a show, and then they put 4 commercials on. It is so stupid, and they shouldn't be doing that. You know, they shouldn't be doing that. The other side, fake news CNN, which of course has no ratings, although they are doing the debate. They'll get some ratings for the debate. They're going to get big ratings. So this is about our border, and it was a song written a long time ago, not about the border. We made a couple of minor changes. But it's very true, and I think it's very true. It's just said happy birthday. Thank you, darling. Don't tell me that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. Thank you. I wish. Thank you. You know, there's a certain point at which you don't want to hear happy birthday. You just want to pretend the day doesn't exist. But anyway, but there's still a big difference, you know, there's still a big difference. It's long, long way. My father lived a long time, my mother lived a long time, and they were happy and they were great. So maybe we're going to live a long time, I hope so. But we're going to turn this country around. We're going to turn it around really fast. We're going to do the things that you've wanted to do. We're going to bring it back to 4 years ago and do even more. We did, you know, people are saying to themselves, were we better off 4 years ago or are we better off now? And it wasn't even close. We had the greatest economy in history. What we did in taxes, nobody's ever done. Even Ronald Reagan gave a big tax cut. We gave the biggest tax cut in history, the biggest regulatory cut. Nobody did what we did, and everybody was happy. And now they see this person in there that he doesn't know he's alive. He doesn't know he's alive. I mean, I watched him yesterday with Macron. Macron's a sharp guy. You know, he's for France, right? He's for France. We're for this. And Biden doesn't even know where the hell he is. And especially in one particular instance, that was not good yesterday. And I believe that happened, okay? And he makes up stories. He said something about me that I stood over the graves of soldiers. Nobody loves the military more than me. Nobody. Nobody respects it. And nobody's treated it better. Nobody's done as much for the military as I have. But he said I stood over graves of soldiers, and I said, these people are suckers and losers. Think dead soldiers from World War I. I said this was a made-up deal from a magazine that's failing, Financial Disaster, by a guy that is a horrible radical left lunatic named Goldberg. They made up a story that I said this, and they put it out, and it's been going around for 3 years. And it's just like Russia, 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 Ukraine, 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 51 intelligence agents, that phony story, remember? The laptop is from Russia, they said. And they should be prosecuted for what they did. Okay, they should be prosecuted. Let's see what happens. But can you imagine? And now they took an ad using it. They know it's phony. They know it's false. And now they took an ad using it. These are sick people. And I hope the military revolts at the voting booth and just says, we're not going to take it. They can say anything. They're a party of misinformation, disinformation, cheating on elections, open borders, high interest rates, and high taxes. That's all. And you can't get elected like that. So they make up stories, disinformation, a story like that. Think of it from a practical standpoint. I'm standing there with generals and military people in a cemetery, and I look at them, I say, these people are suckers and losers. Now, think of it. Unless you're a psycho or a crazy person or a very stupid person, who would say that anyway? But who would say it to military people with military? Because as President of the United States, I would say if I made that statement, if I have generals here, if I have a, I would imagine that most of them would end up in a major fist fight with the president, okay? And you know what? I would have said it was okay in that one instance. They made up a story. They just, out of thin air, just like a lot of the fake stories are made up by these people, because they're among the most dishonest people in the country, the fake news. They're dishonest people. So they made up this story, and they go with it like I said it. And you know what? Some people believe it because they believe it. You know, they hear it from these people. They believe it. It's a shame. It's a shame you can get away with it. But we have to talk. If we don't talk about it, this happened 3 years ago, and my geniuses said, oh, sir, don't mention it because nobody believes. But it just never goes away. I got to mention it. I don't like mentioning it. But for me to say suckers and losers about people that died in World War I in front of military people, it's not a possibility you could say a thing like that. So it's a shame. It's a shame. That's why we have to win. We have to bring our country back from this horrible abyss because we're doing really badly. And this is one of the reasons why. So this is entitled The Snake. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty-colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Poor thing, she cried, I'll take you in and I'll take care of you. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a comforter of silk and laid him by her fireside with some honey and some milk. She hurried home from work that night. As soon as she arrived, she found the pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. She clutched him to her bosom. You're so beautiful, she cried. But if I hadn't brought you in by now, you truly would have died. She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed and held him tight. But instead of saying, thank you, ma'am, the snake gave her a vicious bite. Bite, vicious bite. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. I saved you, cried the woman, and you're so tender and so nice. But you know that if I hadn't taken in, your skin would not look so good, and you would have bitten me. But why? You bit me. Why did you bite me? Please, please, tell me why? Why did you bite me? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. Shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before I took you in. And that's happening at our border, you see, because we're taking in people that are a disaster for our country. So it's all happening at our border, and we're taking in people at levels that have never taken, this has never happened before, ever, never, and we're not going to let it happen. We're not going to let them ruin our country. We're not going to let them destroy our country. So I want to tell you a couple of things, and this is the first time I've ever made this. Shut it. Thank you. Thank you. So this is the first time I've said this, and for those hotel workers and people that get tips, you're going to be very happy, because when I get to office, we are going to not charge taxes on tips, people making tips. We're not going to do it, and we're going to do that right away, first thing in office, because it's been a point of contention for years and years and years, and you do a great job of service, you take care of people, and I think it's going to be something that really is deserved. More importantly, popular or unpopular. I do some unpopular things, too, if it's right for the country. I do what's right. But so those people that have jobs in restaurants, whatever the job may be, a tipping job, we're not going after for taxes anymore. This will be ended. And I announced that for the first time I've brought it up. First time anyone's brought it up. I think it's never been brought up before, and I also think it's very appropriate. So we have a president who is destroying our country. We have a president who wants all electric cars in a very quick start. He wants to have all electric cars. Everything has to be electric, and by 2030, that's in 6 years from now. And you know what? Electric cars are fine. They have a problem. They don't go far. They cost a lot to buy. And they're all made in China. Other than that, I think they're wonderful, right? And I'm going to end that mandate on day one when I get to office. I met with the truckers over the weekend. And great Roger Penske is a trucker. He's also a great Indianapolis. He won it 20 times. Can you believe it? Think of how smart you have to be. Japan, Germany, all these nations, they spend billions and billions of dollars trying to win the Indianapolis 500. And Roger Penske's won it. He just won it again. He's won it 20 times. Think, that's the kind of brain power we need. That's what we want in our military. And we have people like that. A lot of them are shut out because they're woke. The woke stuff will be gone within a period of 24 hours, I can tell you. And go out and buy Pete Hegseth's book, because he tells you about it better than anybody. Pete Hegseth, he wrote a book. He tells you about the woke military. But I will tell you, we defeated ISIS, and they weren't woke. They weren't woke. We have great generals. We have not the guys on television. We have great generals. We defeated ISIS in a record time. It was going to take 5 years. They thought it would. I remember in Washington, it'll take 5 years. I went to Iraq. I met with the generals. I met a General Raisin Kane. His name was Raisin. His first name was Daniel Kane. They called me Raisin. I said, "You mean your name's Raisin Kane?" "I love that. I love you. I've been looking for you." Anyway, long story. You've heard the story. But we knocked him out in 5 weeks. It was supposed to take 5 years. He said, "We'll hit him from the left. We'll hit him from the right. We'll hit him underneath and on top. We'll hit him." They won't know what the hell happened, sir. How long will it take? 4 weeks. Maybe you'll have time left over. I said, "How come they tell me in Washington 5 years?" Because they don't know how to fight, sir. They don't know how to fight. We have a great military. We have a great, great military. So I'm going to end the electric mandate. We're going to end the electric mandate also on truckers. So the truckers come to see me. They say a truck going to California. They like that. Tell them to make the microphone louder. It's terrible. Yeah. He just came up. Are the teleprompters not working, sir? Not even a little bit. Great job. And then I don't pay the company that does it, right? And then I end up with a story Trump doesn't pay. I don't pay contractors that do a shitty job. And that's a shitty job. That's a shitty job. You can't read a word. But you know what? It usually ends up that the speech is better. It's crazy. Then they'll say, "Oh, isn't it terrible? Trump takes advantage of his No, I take great. When I have a good contractor or a subcontractor, nobody gets paid faster. But when I have contractors that do this kind of work, you can have them." Could you imagine if Biden was up? He's no good with the teleprompter. He's the worst I've seen. But could you imagine if the teleprompters went off? Here's Biden. He's He wouldn't even say anything because he's incapable. he'd probably go pause, you know, pause. How about when he's reading the teleprompter and then they say pause, meaning, you know, maybe you'll get about 3 people clapping, and he goes pause. No, he'd just walk off the stage like this. Oh, teleprompter. Oh. Well. This guy is the worst. You know, I always treated him with a certain respect. I hated the election was rigged and stolen, whether you like it or not. Big. We did much better in 2020 than we did in 2016. Got millions more votes. Everybody knows it. They said if you got the same number, we got millions of more votes. Millions. That's by them. That's by them. But, you know, when he indicted me over nothing, they opened up a whole new box. And then I got indicted again and again and again. I was never indicted. In a period of this little tiny period of time, I was like a ping pong ball. Sir, they indicted you here. They indicted you in Georgia. They indicted you in New York. Then they indicted you again in New York, sir. And it was all over. Can I use that word again? But you'll use it. A disgrace. A disgrace. And what they've done is they've weaponized the Department of Justice. The only thing they didn't understand is that we just had the largest fundraising effort in a period of 1 week than anybody has ever had. Did you know that, Marjorie? We took in hundreds of millions of dollars, and much of it was small money donors, what's called a small average $71. Hundreds of thousands of people contributed that they wouldn't have except for the court case. And our poll numbers are higher now than they were before because the people are watching and they know a fake deal. And this guy can't get elected without it. He can't get elected. He's incompetent. He's an incompetent person. But I never treated him this way. When I got indicted the first time, and then it was like, sir, you've been indicted again. I heard they were going to do it someplace else, and they stopped it. They said, we're indicting this guy into office. The people get it. Normally when that happens, they go to the microphone and they announce, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be going home with my family, and I'll be fighting for my name. That's the last you ever hear from the person. We have higher poll numbers now than we've ever had. Too big to rig. That's what we want. Too big to rig. Too big to rig. Too big to rig. That's what we want. I have higher numbers than we've ever had. We're leading this crooked thief of a president. And I would never have said that before. I didn't speak glowingly. He's a lousy president anyway. But I would never have said he's a corrupt, very dumb person. He's a low IQ individual, and he always was. This isn't age. He's worse now than he was 10 years ago. But if you go back 30 years ago, he was considered the dumbest person in the U.S. Senate. Ted Kennedy told me that himself, who was a friend of mine, which is shocking. Shocking that he was a friend. He was on a slightly different persuasion, Marjorie. But he told me that. He's the dumbest person in the Senate, and he has been from day one. How about this? On the documents. They go after me for documents, and then they find out that Joe has 10 times the number of documents than me. I said, you have to be kidding. And they released him. I said, I don't want to be released like that. They released him on the basis that he's incompetent and he can't stand trial. I said, oh, I see. So he can't stand trial, so they're not going to charge him on 50 years worth of classified documents. He's incompetent. He won't have to stand trial, but he's allowed to run for president. So think of that. You have a guy that can't stand trial. He's not allowed to, by the U.S. attorney, the man doing it, Mr. Herr. Now, I've never heard of this before because he wasn't incompetent. He was never smart, but he wasn't incompetent 10, 15, 20. This is 50 years worth of documents. So he got off. In a sense, he got off. I said, I don't want to get off like that. I did nothing wrong. It's Presidential Records Act. I did nothing. You know, we have a deranged individual named Jack Smith. He's a deranged, dumb guy. He's a dumb son of a bitch. And what he did, and I just want to get off normal. Can you imagine, sir, they're exonerating you. They consider you to be incompetent. And therefore, because you're incompetent, they're going to exonerate you. I said, I don't want that. Let me be guilty before they do that. But think of it. They say he's incompetent and therefore he can't stand trial. But he can run for president. And this is what you're voting for. And I never talked about this guy like this. But you watched him yesterday, and he is so bad for this country. They're all laughing. Everyone's laughing at him. The whole world is laughing, except for the fake news back there that try to pretend he did a good job because they're fake and dishonest. So we have a country that's in trouble. We're going to end the mandate on electric one day. They want to make all boats, too. I went to a boat company in South Carolina. The boat, I said, how is it? He said, it's a problem, sir. They want us to make all electric boats. These are boats that are from 16 to 35 or so feet. Fishing boats, leisure boats. Beautiful company in South Carolina. Beautiful. Guy's been doing it for 50 years. He sells hundreds of boats every couple of months. I mean, really fantastic guy. And they use the Mercury engines and different engines in the back. No problem. They want to take that out. They want to make it all electric. He said the problem is the boat is so heavy it can't float. I said, that sounds like a problem. He said also it can't go fast because of the weight. And they want to now have a 50-mile or a 70-mile radius. You have to go out 70 miles before you can really start the boat up. And you go out at 2 knots. That's essentially almost like 2 miles an hour. I say, how long does it take you to get out there? Many hours. And then you're allowed to go around for 10 minutes, but you have to come back because the batteries only last for a very short period of time. So I said, let me ask you a question. And he said, nobody ever asked this question. And it must be because of MIT, my relationship to MIT. Very smart. He goes, I say, what would happen if the boat sank from its weight and you're in the boat and you have this tremendously powerful battery, and the battery's now underwater, and there's a shark that's approximately 10 yards over there. By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. Do you notice that? A lot of shark. I watched some guys justifying it today. Well, they weren't really that angry. They bit off the young lady's leg because of the fact that they were not hungry, but they misunderstood who she was. These people are crazy. He said there's no problem with sharks. They just didn't really understand a young woman swimming now really got decimated, and other people too. A lot of shark attacks. So I said, so there's a shark 10 yards away from the boat, 10 yards, or here. Do I get electrocuted if the boat is sinking, water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking? Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted, or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? Because I will tell you, he didn't know the answer. He said, you know, nobody's ever asked me that question. I said, I think it's a good question. I think there's a lot of electric current coming through that water. But you know what I'd do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the shark. So we're going to end that. We're going to end it for boats. We're going to end it for trucks. The trucks on a tank of diesel fuel, a truck goes from New York, a big, beautiful Peterbilt or any one of these great companies. They go from New York to Los Angeles without a stop. With electric, much of the truck is used, the capacity for batteries. The batteries are very heavy and very big, very, very big, many times the size of a tank that carries lots of gallons of diesel. You have to stop 6 times, and you have to get chargers. There are no chargers. The whole thing is, it's the kind of thing that if your 5-year-old grandson were sitting up here and you gave him a quiz, he would say, don't bother with the electric. There's another thing. The truck is so heavy because batteries are very heavy. The truck weighs more than twice as much as a gasoline truck. So what happens, a diesel. So what happens is they have to fix every bridge all over the United States to handle the weight. Every bridge has to be rebuilt because the weight is double and triple that of a gasoline or diesel tank truck. And you say to yourself, who are these people that are destroying our country? Why are they destroying our country? Why is it that they're destroying our country? All of that stuff is going to end. We're not going to have men playing in women's sports. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. The weightlifter. You see the weightlifter? They break a record by like 130. A record stands for 18 years. And they're putting a quarter of an ounce on one side of a barbell and a quarter of an ounce. That's what it is, just if they could beat it by a half an ounce. And they just can't do it. They tried in the Olympic trials. A young woman, beautiful young woman, rather muscular, I must say, rather strong looking, beautiful woman. She gets up and her mother's in the front row. And her father's in the front row, and her relatives, everyone's rooting for her. Come on, baby, you can do it. She gets up. She can't do it. She can't. She gets up to here. I can't. No, Mom, I'm sorry, Mom. And this goes on and on. Nobody was able to do it. Then this person that transitioned, lovely, he transitioned, recently transitioned. And they said, do you lift? Not much. Are you good? I don't know. I'll tell you after I try. And he goes over it. Did you see this? Boom. Bing. Throws it down. Then he says, why don't I practice a little bit up here? He does it. The whole thing is crazy. Swimming the same thing, running the same thing. It's so demeaning to women. But these people can only want to destroy our country. Who wants open borders? Who wants men playing in women's sports? Who wants all electric cars? And by the way, I'm a big fan of electric cars. And, you know, it'll be a certain group of people that are going to want them where they travel short distances. I'm fine with it. But you have to be able to get gasoline, diesel, lots of other things, or hybrids. Hybrids actually are, I think, a much better solution. You have to be able to get it. So we're going to do all these things. You know, basically, the Republican Party is a party of common sense. It's a party where we want closed, very strong borders. We don't want drugs coming in. If you really want to get rid of drugs, you go with the death penalty, but I don't think the country's ready for it. I would do it in a second. You know, every drug dealer, and everybody here knows people whose family was devastated by the loss of a child because of fentanyl. But if you went with the death penalty, you would have no drug problem in this country. Instant, if it was a meaningful, not a trial that lasts 400 years. Like China, I was with President Xi. I said, do you have a drug problem? No. He didn't even know what I was talking about. He's got 1.4 billion people. I said, do you have a drug problem? He goes, no drug problem. I said, how do you do that? Essentially, he said, the death penalty. We catch, they call it quick trial. They have a trial, and it's quick. And by the way, isn't that breeze nice? Do you feel the breeze? Because I don't want anybody going on me. We need every voter. I don't care about you. I just want your vote. I don't care. See, now the press will take that, and they'll say, he said a horrible thing. They'll say, he said, you know what they did? I was just doing a little imitation of this horrible, worst president in the history of our country. So I imitated him a couple of times getting off the stage because he's unable to find a stare. Look, stare, 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 stare. All over you have stairs. When he finishes his 1.5-minute speech, you know, speeches last for about a minute, never takes questions. When he does, he picks up a thing and he goes, let's see here. Jill of NBC. Yes, where's Jill? I'm here. You know, right in front. Because they put her there. So she'll read a question. What flavor ice cream is your favorite? And then he picks up the thing. Vanilla. Think of it, what they do. You saw me in the White House. It was like war. What they do is they give the guy the question and the answer. They never did that with me. He's reading the answers to questions. He's calling a reporter from NBC fake news, CBS fake news, CNN, ABC. They're all pretty much the same. MSNBC is probably the worst, probably the most evil. They're sick. These are sick people. But they're all sort of the same. They're all bad. And they're all very dishonest. So, no, they know what I'm saying. I love that. I love you people. Where the hell are you from? Wow. I got to find out what was the magic word that got that little. But we're not going to let this happen with our country anymore. We're taking back our country. So when we get in, it's going to go very rapidly. We're going to do a lot of things. We're going to look very strongly at J6. Those people, there has never been people treated more horrifically than J6 hostages. Look at yesterday. They're picketing in front of the White House, and they're marking up the columns with red paint that doesn't come off, by the way. You have to probably sandblast it off. They're hitting red paint all over the place. They're putting red paint all over statues of Andrew Jackson, one of our president's actually considered a great general and a very good president. Red paint all over the place, representing blood. They're closing up gates. They're stampeding all over the place. And they can do whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. And we're going to change that around. We want to be fair. So we're going to change that. And we're going to change it. And we're going to change it fast. But those J6 warriors, they were warriors, but they were really more than anything else. They're victims of what happened. All they were doing is protesting a rigged election. That's what they were doing. And then the police say, go in, go in, go in, go in. How about Scaffold Joe, the guy on the scaffold? Or how about the big FBI guy or whatever, wherever he comes from? Go on in, everybody, go on in. What a setup that was. What a horrible, horrible thing. And, you know, that blows two ways. That blows two ways, believe me. And we don't want anybody doing something, but what they did to some of those people. They have yesterday a grandmother who's 72 years old who was praying. She was praying. And they arrested her for, I think, 4 years or something, right? 4 years. They put her in jail. It's sick what's happening. And I don't know why a Catholic would be voting for Joe Biden, because they have gone after Catholics at a level that nobody knows what's going on with Catholics. But they're going after Christians. They're going after evangelicals. And we're just not going to take it anymore. We're going to fight, and we're going to win the election. Because this is the most important election. So, what we're going to do is very simple, probably in this order, but we can do 3 things at one time, and we can do a lot of things that first week. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to close that border tight as a drum, and we're going to let people come in, but only legally. The second thing we're going to do about 5 minutes later, it doesn't take long, we're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get your energy costs in half. We're going to bring down your energy costs, and that includes New England. New England has, like, energy costs like they're in the middle of an area that never saw energy. We have more liquid gold than any other country in the world. Russia, Saudi Arabia, remember this? We were energy independent 4 years ago. We were soon going to be energy dominant. I was the one that stopped the Russian pipelines called Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2. Isn't it amazing? The biggest project they ever had. They're building the biggest pipeline in the world. It's going to Germany and all over Europe. I come in and I stop it. And all you hear is, oh, Trump was so nice to Russia. There is nothing you can do worse than that. I stopped it. It was dead. And then I sanctioned a lot of sanctions. And yet I got along well with Putin. I mean, it must have been hard for him. He actually said, if you're nice to me, I would hate like hell to see if you weren't nice to me. And remember, he would have never, and he didn't, he would have never gone into Ukraine. Israel would have never, ever been attacked. Iran was broke. Under my administration, Iran was stone cold broke. There was a Democrat congressman the other day. He was on Deface the Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, Deface the Nation. It's a horrible show, but they're all horrible. Meet the Fake Press. They're all horrible. George Slopadopoulos. Does anybody know George? I saw him interviewing Kash Patel or somebody. Kash Patel, stand up. Stand up. George Slopadopoulos. No, I saw him interviewing somebody, just a nice person. I think actually one of the people running for vice president. We've got a lot of great people running for vice president. By the way, who do we prefer? We have a lot of good ones. They're very good. But I saw George Slopadopoulos. The level of hatred. The guy's just there answering questions. The level of hatred. I said to him, George, I've had you up to here. I've had him up to there. But he is the level of anger and hatred. I say, what the hell? We want to have a country with low taxes, great education. We want to have the strongest military. We want to have no regulation. We want to have a border that's absolutely powerful. And we want to have fair elections, and the rest of it, it's all common sense. And they hate us, these people back here. They hate us at levels that nobody's ever seen before. And there's only one reason I can think of, maybe two. They're either incompetent or they hate our country. And there is a third reason, and I hate to mention it. They're trying to get these people signed up to vote. That could be it, too. And I hope that's not it. And I know your governor is working hard on this. I think your governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general, they're not going to let it happen in your state. They're not going to let it happen. And hopefully no other governor is going to let it happen, including Democrats, but they do let it happen. Because the only way they can get elected is to cheat. The only way, when you have open borders, when you have high interest rates, high tax, they want to quadruple your taxes. They want to increase your taxes at levels never seen before. I've never heard this. As a person growing up, politicians always said we're going to reduce your taxes, right? You couldn't get elected if you said it. They say we're going to increase it by 4 times your taxes. And they get votes? They get votes because they cheat. They cheat like hell, and don't let anyone convince you. Hey, look, they indict me over saying it. When they said they won in 2016, nobody got indicted. Maxine Waters, look at her, what she says, what a fresh mouth. But Hillary Clinton, all of these people, but absolutely nobody has a problem. But when a Republican said the election's rigged, they want to put them in the electric chair, We have 2 standards, and we're going to change that, and we're going to change it fast. We're going to change it fast. So we're going to run a country, and we're conservative, generally speaking, in this group. But I'll tell you what, we have a lot of Democrats. Who's a Democrat that likes Trump in this room, in this area? We have a lot of people. We have he goes, let's go, Brandon. That's great. Now we have a lot of Democrats that are coming over because really we're the party of common sense. We're a party of common sense. We want to have that strong military. We have to. I totally rebuilt the military. All of the things that we did, that's what they want. The greatest economy in the history of our country is what we had, and people want to go back. So I ask you to do this. Get out and vote. Don't let them cheat. You watch that vote and watch it all the way. Don't let them cheat. Don't let them do anything. There are a lot of very dishonest people. Now, we had a governor that was obviously not very good. Now we have a great governor. You have a Republican governor who's doing a great job. The only way they can beat us is to cheat. That's the only way they're going to. We're not going to let it happen because we're going to make our country great again. We're going to make our country greater than ever before. It's going to be special, and the world is going to look up to us with respect. They're not going to be laughing at us. They right now are laughing at us. The world is laughing at us. They're not going to be laughing. They respected our country. Viktor Orban, the great Prime Minister of Hungary, strong country, took no illegal aliens, none, 0. Helps out with Ukraine because their border, they're right there. But he made a statement the other day. He said, they said, what's going on? The whole world is collapsing. He said, the only thing that's going to save the world is Donald Trump has to get reelected as president, and the whole world is going to be saved because China respected him, Russia respected him, everybody listened to him. He was the guy. He actually said he was the boss. Everybody listened. And I'll tell you, if it doesn't happen, you're headed to World War III. You are closer right now to World War III than you've ever been. And this is no longer army tanks going back and forth shooting World War II, World War. These are nuclear weapons, the likes of which and the power of which has never ever been seen before. So again, I want to thank you all. I want to thank all the celebrities from being here. And we have great celebrities. Marjorie, thank you for coming up from Georgia. Get out and vote. You have a big voting day tomorrow. Get out and vote. And you have some unbelievable people. Just get out and you vote. And I will see you soon. We're going to spend a lot of time in this state. If we win Nevada, we win the whole thing. We win the whole thing. That's so nice. Thank you. I mean, I'm looking back there as far as the eye can see. Get out, vote, We're going to make America great again, greater than ever before, and we're going to do it fast. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you, everybody.